Hey guys, so last season I was doing some maintenance on my bike and I accidentally stripped out one of the bolt holes for the rear brake caliper. So I was pretty stressed out when this happened. I thought I ruined the frame, but my friend told me about these things called Heli-Coils. You can actually rethread the hole and repair it essentially as good as new. So I'm going to try that right now and hopefully I can get this bike back to perfect condition again, or as perfect as it ever is. So you can see how one of these bolts is longer than the other, and what I did is I had them reversed and I tried to put the longer bolt into the shorter hole, and once it got all the way down I kept turning and it just stripped the hole right out. So what you do with these little coils is you drill out the hole, you thread it for a slightly larger diameter hole, then you thread these little coils into those new holes, and then the bolt, the original bolt, is supposed to thread right into these coils. It's supposed to be a really solid repair. It's supposed to be basically as good as new once you're done. So I've never done this before. This is going to be my first time, but hopefully it goes well. Now I'm sure you could do this pretty easily, keeping everything on the bike and keeping the rear triangle attached to the bike. But this actually isn't the rear triangle I messed up. This is my backup. This is actually the rear triangle that I stripped out, and this is the one I'm going to repair. And then I'll just swap it back later. It's probably hard to see, but this one has the threads and this one is completely stripped out. Here, I'll take a photo. The reason I have a backup rear triangle is because this one hit a rock when the bike was about 2 months old and I actually cracked the carbon fiber, so they sent me a replacement. But it turns out these carbon fiber frames are really strong, so even with a crack in it, I've been riding this for like, I don't know, about 6 months now, which is not ideal, but it's been doing fine. But still, I need to get it switched back to the primary one. So this is the kit I bought on Amazon. It's just a cheap little kit. It comes with a bunch of the actual coils. This is the tool to set the coil, and then it has a tap so you can thread the hole, and it comes with its own drill bit so you can drill the fresh hole. I like this because I'm assuming and I'm hoping that all these are the exact right size for each other, but it's Amazon, so who knows. It also includes this little tool. I'm not sure what this is for, but I'm going to use it to measure the depth of the hole once I start drilling it out. All right, so let's begin. So the first step in this process is to drill out the hole so that the threads that are stripped are completely gone. Now, one thing you really don't want to do is drill too far and drill right through, especially in carbon fiber. So I'm going to use this to gauge how deep the hole is, and I'm going to use a piece of masking tape to mark that so I have a little gauge to know how far to go down. All right, so now I'm going to put a piece of tape on the drill bit for the exact same reason. I'm going to match the height to that. And now I know how far to drill down. Now you could easily use a regular drill to drill this out, but because I have a drill press, I'm going to use it. Okay, I guess I have to use the hand drill after all because you can't use the drill press for this. If you look at the frame, let me get you a better angle here. So a drill press is always drilling perfectly perpendicular to the plate that the material is resting on. That's that little shelf underneath the drill bit. So these bolt holes go down at a 90-degree angle to this surface that's created where the caliper bolts on. But you can see that's a different angle than the actual carbon fiber of the frame. So if I put this on the drill press and rested it here, it would drill down at kind of an angle, which is the wrong angle for these. So I'm just going to have to drill them by hand. Okay, so I'm going to try to carefully drill out that hole now, and I'm only going to go as deep as this blue line that I put on here. All right, that drilled out pretty easily. So you can see the good hole, you still have to thread the bolt in. But on the top one, it falls right in and it's super loose, which is exactly what we want. So now I'm going to use a threading tapping tool they included, and I'm going to put some new threads into this hole. I'm going to use a little WD-40 to lubricate it. So the tool has a square head at the top that I guess you could use with something like an adjustable wrench. I'm using a 9/32 socket, and it actually fits in there pretty snug. That'll make it easier to tighten down. So I'm going to get one last piece of blue tape and put it on the threading tool for the same reason, so I know how far to go down and when to stop. I'm gonna make sure it's going in straight with this tool. That looks pretty straight. Let me give you just one quick little piece of advice. Do not try to test fit this in the hole while the camera's off, because it goes right in and it does not come out easily at all. I thought I was gonna have to trash the whole video because it was just installed, but I did manage to get it out. So let's pretend I didn't do that. All right, so the coil itself has a little tab that goes across one end. So you're supposed to feed that onto the tool so that the little tab goes in between the two pieces. So once it's on like this, you screw it in, then you use the other tool to punch that little tab and break it off. So that's what this tool is for. It's not a measuring tool, but it works good as a measuring tool. So it goes in pretty easy. I'm going to screw it in so it's a little bit below the surface. All right, here's a close-up. It looks like it's in there a pretty good distance. There's just a little bit of space between the top of the coil and the actual surface of the mounting bracket there. Okay, I have a spare brake caliper bolt, so I'm just going to try to test fit it in there and make sure it goes in correctly. Yeah, that definitely feels right. It goes in pretty easy, but it's very snug. It's not loose at all. All right, I need to use this tool to punch that little tab off, so now's a good time to remove all this blue tape I put on everything. So again, the way this is supposed to work is this coil is down in that hole, and the tab is on the bottom of the hole. So I'm going to punch down with this, and it's going to break that tab off. That way the bolt can go all the way down to the bottom of the hole. We'll see. That was pretty easy. Yep. And here's the tab. All right, it's a lot of work to switch the triangle over, so I'm going to do one more test fit of the bolt just to make sure it's completely ready to go. All right, now that the coil is in there, this part of the frame is ready to go, which means the next step is to swap it over. That's a little bit outside of the scope of this video, so I'm just going to rush through that real quick. All right, this bolt is the one that goes into the hole that I put the Heli-Coil in. So this is the repair, and it feels very solid right now. As I thread this in, it feels just like a normal threaded hole. All right, feels pretty good. All right, that looks like a successful repair, but let's take this thing out into the woods and really test it out on a trail. All right, that repair came out great. I was really stressed out when I first damaged the frame. I thought that the rear triangle was going to be junk and I was going to have to replace it. But this repair really isn't that hard and it came out awesome. It really is almost as good as new. The hardest part is just you have to make sure when you're re-tapping the threads in the new hole, you have to make sure that the thread tapper is actually going in straight. Mine kept wanting to turn and I kind of edited that out of the video. Other than that, it's really not that hard and it worked great. So if you ever strip a bolt hole, Heli-Coil. All right, so I'll leave you with a little bit more video of me riding down some awesome trails. See you guys later.